This came out September 3rd, 2022. This was like right after Rings of Power Season 1 premiere dropped. They were like ready for this press release. The Lord of the Rings and Rings of Power premiere draws 25 million global viewers in first day, Amazon says. So this was interesting for them to say. They don't talk about like minutes viewed. They just said that it drew 25 million viewers. So that's kind of strange how they track that and how they would know that. Even this article says that Amazon broke a long-held precedent by revealing viewership data for a Prime Video series for the first time ever, making the exception on remaining tight-lipped about its internal TV ratings for its big-budget The Lord of the Rings TV series. So this was according to them, which it couldn't be verified by any outside sources, but they said that it drew 25 million viewers. They don't say what the actual numbers are, so they could have tuned out. I don't know. It really doesn't paint an accurate picture of what the 2-episode premiere performed, but it did kind of reveal that, well, they were really excited to say something. So what they did say was that, oh, it drew this many viewers in its first 24 hours. And the fact that Amazon hasn't said anything in regards to its performance definitely indicates that there's nothing to brag about for season 2. And now that we're getting actual data, it's even more apparent the decline. So that was just the Samba TV numbers initially. So now we have more numbers from other sites. So we had the initial Samba TV numbers, and now we're getting more numbers from other sites and getting a more accurate picture of what the viewership was actually. So it's not looking good. And this is an article that just came out from Forbes from writer Paul Tassi. Rings of Power viewership indicates perhaps Amazon shouldn't commit to 5 seasons. And that's what I was saying before about the media. Like every article I hear from even mainstream media when talking about the show, either tacks that on at the end, the views aren't looking so good, we'll see if they're going to do more, or it's just about like covering the numbers in general. So yeah, it's not looking good. Even Paul Tassi is jumping ship. Yeah, that's why I pointed that out. So we'll see what he says. It's pretty entertaining. So easily the most ambitious project in Amazon Prime Video history, if not maybe even all of streaming, was a $1 billion budgeted original Lord of the Rings show, Rings of Power, now airing its 2nd season. When it was first reported that Rings of Power was in the works, there was this idea that a 5-year run for the show was already mapped out. As time went on, it seemed like perhaps that wasn't a full guarantee. Season 2 was in fact greenlit, but it has seen a large decline in viewership from the data we have available via third-party estimates. The numbers are plainly terrible. Luminate, the firm estimating the viewership, says that Season 2 debuted behind Netflix's Worst Ex Ever true crime series. Yeah, so what was number 1, I guess, that week for original streaming content was a documentary, a true crime documentary series, Worst Ex Ever. So the fact that that beat out one of the most famous and beloved IPs or shows connected to this amazing IP alone shows you the decline in interest. Then it goes on to say Rings of Power Season 1's Labor Day premiere of 132 minutes of 2 episodes brought in 1.2 billion minutes watched in 4 days. Rings of Power Season 2's premiere of 3 episodes, totaling 204 minutes, brought in 553.5 million minutes watched in its first 4 days. So it truly is half the viewership with more episodes. I mean, it had an extra episode there, and it still is half of what the viewers was on Season 1. 5 seasons, LOL. They would be at negative viewers by Season 3 easy. And that's the thing too, that while Amazon bragged about, oh, we had 25 million viewers on that premiere in the first 24 hours, then the actual viewing data came out and it was revealed that only 37% of domestic viewers finished the season. And I think the numbers for internationally was 40-something%. So internationally, I mean, that's even more terrible. So yeah, you already lost your audience in Season 1, a healthy portion of your audience during Season 1's premiere. So you had all this time between seasons, and what did you choose to market Season 2 as? It was just shipping. It was just like talking about Galadriel and Sauron and their cosmic connection. If you just let the content, I guess, and trailer footage speak for itself, maybe it would have been better. If just let pretty visuals, I guess, try to entice people to returning, and that may have been better. But I mean, most people would remember from Season 1. Season 1 had plenty of beautiful visuals, But the problem is when characters had to open their mouths and talk to each other, and it was just so boring. It was so slowly paced, and a lot of people just didn't connect with many of the stories, the Harfoot story being a main problem. And this also confirms, because I know this gets out there sometimes, that hate watching is helping. That you're helping Amazon or you're helping Disney Plus by watching The Acolyte or something. But it's such a minor amount of the actual viewership is people that are reviewing it, or different personnel on YouTube or otherwise that are reviewing it and just don't like it, but are watching it because they're interested in how things will turn out, because it's a car crash and you can't turn away. But this definitely reveals, and same thing with The Acolyte, that's just not how general audiences work. If you can't connect to normies, if you can't connect to the main audience, it's gonna fall flat. The viewership will fall. Normies are the ones that make these numbers go up and down. Not me, not your Aunt Donna. Seinfeld reruns would do better than Rings of Power. Yes. Good Lord, I hope they cancel this so that they can spare us all that and someone can take a new run at the IP, which I figure we'd all still love to see more of. And that's the thing. I agree with you. I'm at the point now where can you just finish this and end it? And hopefully we can get on to an actual sincere adaptation of Tolkien's Second Age stories, like an adaptation of what he actually wrote, because that's what people want. And coupled with that, a director or a filmmaker or a showrunner who actually has experience in a project like this. Because you have to. You can't just have knowledge and passion about the IP. That's definitely important. But you also need the experience and technical expertise to be able to run a show like this, to be able to make your budget, to use it to the best of your ability. And that's what Denis Villeneuve is well known for. I mean, Dune and Dune Part 2 were made on, I guess, paltry budget amounts these days. Dune Part 2 did cost a bit more, but again, there was also some challenges. There was challenges for both of those films that they had to work out with. First one had the pandemic issues and the challenges for its release, and then the second one had significant delays with the writers and actors strike. So I'm sure that cost them something. But because Denis knows what he's doing, the production itself went very smoothly. So there was no extra costs from that end. I mean, there's just stuff that was beyond his control, but everything that was in his control, it went smoothly because he had a plan for both films. And he also was in the industry. He was already established as a filmmaker a long time ago. And now just recently, even then, as a sci-fi filmmaker, he reached the acclaim of that. And so he had that experience to be able to handle Dune. He had the knowledge, he had the passion, but he also had to gain that technical expertise to really hone his craft, to be able to pull this off, to be able to bring the world of Arrakis to the big screen. And I have no idea why Amazon or Jeff Bezos or whatever who put J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay in charge, why would you put someone that had zero experience in running a show in charge of a billion-dollar production for one of the most beloved IPs ever? It really baffles me, and I honestly don't know. Is there like something? I know J.J. Abrams put in a good word for Payne and McKay, but really, that was it? That was enough to sway Amazon to just take this giant risk on people who had no experience? Because that's the problem now that they're facing, because the viewership numbers aren't there, because you're not adapting Tolkien stories, and you're not even able to tell an entertaining story. But because you're so inexperienced, your budgets are incredibly bloated, way more than anyone who knew what they were doing would end up being at the end of the day. So there's so many factors that make this production so doomed, I guess.